Okay, so I see some familiar faces. I know that some of you don't speak Croatian or Serbian, so I'll be speaking in English. I came this morning, so it was I think 4:30 a.m. when I went to bed. So please bear with me if I cannot remember any words in English. It would be easier in my mother tongue, but let's thank you guys for being here. So I have to speak in English. They were actually at HipCon yesterday and the day before that. I organized with a team of guys from HipSpace, a conference which happened in Belgrade on Thursday and Friday. On Wednesday we had whole day of the preparations. So yeah, I'm super tired. But I will try to keep this brief. I would like to ask you a couple of questions first. Who is a programmer here in the audience? Okay, marketing and communications, guys and girls. Whoa, two, lovely. HR? Wow, a guy in HR, good. Cool. Business development, business analyst. Ciao, Matea. Ciao, Vedrane. Cool, okay. So this is like quite a general topic. I didn't know who will be my audience today, so I will just try to fetch this presentation to fit to your needs. So we need to find communication first. I know this might seem a bit weird because we all communicate on a daily basis. So let's just try to define it technically. So we try to disseminate information, we receive it, and we understand it. So that would be like the super plain definition of communication. And I would like to tell you where we fail. So this is like the first thing. Let's see what we are not doing right. Disseminating in a proper way. So if, for example, we work together in a team and I give you feedback. I'm not very good at giving feedbacks, let's say. And maybe you're not very good at receiving this information. Even if I do tell you in a proper way, if there is such a thing, you don't receive it correctly, and we actually don't understand very well in general, full stop. So we actually fail miserably in every aspect of our communication. I'm sorry, I need to tell you this, and this is very important for you to understand from the very beginning. So from the first part of this presentation, I would like you to note that efficient communication is not inherent to all human beings, just because they are human beings. There's no such thing like, oh, I have this feedback for you, let's keep the same example, and then I push the information towards you, you understand it perfectly, and you receive it just the way I want you to receive it. So we don't need to understand each other just because we are human beings and we use communication in order to understand each other. So the whole concept is wrong from the very beginning. How to become a good communicator and how to firstly understand what is not a good communicator. So if we define communication in this very technical manner, let's just see what would be some do's and don'ts when it comes to communication. Who here thinks is right in the 80% of situations in his or her life? Okay. I think I'm right most of the time. So that was my first thing. So I had to understand that I'm not right most of the time. And even though I think I'm right, I don't have to say that. So I can keep that to myself. So definitely the worst kind of communicators are those who think they know it all and actually say it. So even if you think, just keep it for yourself. It's fine. The second worst is listening to respond. So I give you feedback, and then you keep me going. You keep me going. I'm speaking for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, for 30 minutes, and then you just keep listening to me just in order to tell me, oh, but you're not right. Here's what I think. This is not communication. The third group would be a group who is on a good way to become a good communicator, which means that you actually listen to understand. So I give you feedback, and then you're listening to me and you're trying to understand what I want to communicate towards you. Even if you don't understand, it's fine. You can tell me, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't quite catch your drift. Can you please just elaborate a bit? And then me, as the first communicator towards you, I would get this feeling that you are actually trying to understand me, even though you fake it, for example. That's also a good strategy. Maybe you can try that. Second important note is that no one is proficient in communication. Don't feel bad about it. It's fine. Just try to improve. Just try to understand that we'll suck at it. I suck at it, like ultimately, I know that. Maybe you seem a bit impressed that I'm tired and that I can just walk you through my slides, which I actually made in the car last night. But I'm not very good at it. When it comes to my personal life, for example, I think I'm very rational, but when it comes to emotions, when I need to actually express something that I feel, I shut down. And that's not good. So every time you have something in your workplace, when you're with your family, when you're with your boyfriends, husbands, mothers, and everything, you just need to try to express yourself in an honest manner, but we'll come to honesty. Remember this. This is like the most important thing. I will be moving because this topic is like really, really general, but I wanted to somehow put a focus on IT companies because we are all here from IT companies. Some of you are freelancers, independent consultants working in all different areas of technology. So I will just like shoot out several questions. You can participate by raising your hand, so I will be asking questions. I will participate as well. Even though I'm not in one company, I'm in several, so I will try to follow you. So do you feel aligned with your company culture? Okay. Does your work excite you? Wow. Well, does it like drive you, like big time? Like you're coming to work and you just cannot wait to open your computer and start working. That's awesome. Do you feel like you fit in at your workplace? Okay. I will not read this. But let's see who creates this sense of belonging. Have you ever thought of that? Like, is there a system, like in every programming language, like in every, I don't know, procedure, method at work? Like, it has to have a system because we're all working in companies, right? So the third part would be who should create this sense of belonging. In big companies, for example, 50, 60, 70 people. If you have 20, it's fine. Like, the team creates the culture. But what happens when there is 50, when there is 200, when there is 1,000? So we actually do this. So the guys from marketing and the girls from marketing, communications, HR managers. They should do this for you, like create the system you actually fit in. But you need to give them feedback. You need to speak with them. They are not separated, non-tech people in IT companies. This is awful. So like every time I speak with the boys and girls working in IT companies, in the non-tech part of them, like HR, marketing, administration, it's like this, like engineers are here, and all the other people who actually bring money to the company, and the other ones who work for the company are just not that important, you know? So if C-level guys are usually engineers, I put guys in purpose, they hire communications managers, they hire marketing managers, HR managers, okay? That's cool, they can hire, they know how to do that. But what ultimately happens is that they think they are better at this particular work than the people they actually hired. But why is that? Have you ever wondered? Does anyone know? Do you think that maybe you know the answer to this? Because they understand the target audience. Okay, that's a valid argument, but it's false. And why is it false? Because knowing your target audience, and everyone working in marketing knows that's not enough. Even if you do the research, even if you do focus groups, even if you do everything, just knowing that your target group are engineers and knowing all the cliches about engineers does not help you. It's simple as that. And knowing who your target audience is doesn't know that you know how to communicate with them, because they're just people as all other people are. Third important note, when you hire people, let them do their job. If they don't deliver, just fire them. It's very simple, right? Fourth part of the presentation, and the last, we'll try to, let's say, guide you through some tips and tricks. This will not be like rocket science. These will be very simple advices. Like they will be so simple that you would go out of this room saying like, this girl, she said nothing. Like, I wasted 25 minutes. But I assure you that if you just think it through, it's super basic, you will understand that communication is super simple, but the definition of communication is actually improvisation. Every situation is different. You cannot be prepared for every situation when it comes to communication, so it ultimately leads you to the conclusion that you need to improvise every time. And sometimes you will fail, in most cases you will fail, but in some cases you will actually be on a very good road to become a very good communicator. Well, that's good. We need to thrive all the time. Okay, I think that I've repeated this like 5 times already, but we fail and we need to accept it. It's okay. The more we fail, we get better at it. This is also very important. So the first step in understanding the other people around you is your ability to open up. So your ability to accept that there are different people and that no one will think like you. No one will think like you. I've never met a person in my life that I can say, oh, we think alike. We think alike like 5% of the time, and that's it. So in communication, let's say we have 2 sides in the most simple scenario. You are not the focus, you don't matter as much, but the other person doesn't matter as much neither. So you have like 2 personas, they try to speak to each other, they try to pass the information, communicate something, and they're not important. Because it's a 2-way street, right? There's some stream on both sides. And you should actually focus on the street. So most of you are engineers here. So it's not very unfamiliar to you to focus on the process. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You just need to remove yourself from the situation. This might seem a bit weird in the beginning, But when you're facing, for example, with the bad feedback at work, or you're facing in your private life with a very difficult situation, someone telling you that you've changed, for example, or someone telling you he or she is not happy with you anymore. You just need to remove yourself from the situation, stop thinking about yourself, about your emotions, stop thinking about the other person, and just focus on the communication or on the information that are actually exchanged here. So you need to have this logical perspective. You need to be realistic about the things you are facing with. If you know that you're not very realistic, not very logical, you're very emotional, just try to find someone who can maybe coach you a bit. Like, this can be learned. If you have this ability to just like very systematically think through things. This is probably like, if I would give you one advice when it comes to communication, it would be honest. Because you cannot go wrong with this strategy, because people usually are not honest. And this is actually the core of all of our communicational problems. People lie. Like, we should really, really, really face with that. And some of them, they're not lying on purpose. It's just the way they are. That's it. Just accept it. But you need to be honest. It's very important to understand when to shut up. Very important to understand when to shut up. And it's okay to be silent. When someone communicates something towards you and you're overwhelmed, you don't know how to react, it's fine to be silent. People will respect that. It's much better than to say something really stupid. Be bold. So attitude is great. Just too much of an attitude is not good. So balance, I would say. Reading between the lines is awesome for those of you who can do it. Who thinks he or she can read between the lines, find different contexts? Good. Don't do this too much, because it will drive you crazy at one point. People lie, but we need to trust. You need to trust them, because otherwise it will all go bad. So even if people don't stop to fail us, we just need to trust them. There is no other way. Because we all go crazy, you know? We don't trust ourselves, we don't trust other people. So where's this reason? Where has it gone, you know? So just keep it going. You're on the right track. And finally, communication is not black and or white. You all know that communication is gray, and that's what actually makes it so damn hard. Thank you. If someone wants to get in touch, please do. If someone has any questions, it would be, because we have like 7 minutes, something like that, okay?
Thank you. Can you return to that slide with the firing? It was too quick for me. I did not understand what was the message. Firing someone. There is a slide. I think number 4.
Firing.
There
A lot of slides.
There's 50 slides.
3,
I think
4.
that there is. I did? This will be easier.
Yes.
If they don't deliver, they get hired. I'm all for that. It's after. There it is. That's it. I'm listening. What's the question?
I don't understand. You say fire. Why fire? What is criteria for firing?
What's the criteria?
Just fire.
You don't deliver.
But what
You
means
get-
deliver? Is
You
that
get a job description. Okay, you apply for a job based on a job description. Have I misspelled it? No? Okay, sorry. That's the tiring part of me today. So you see a job ad somewhere. You see that your CV actually corresponds to your job ad. You apply for a job. You get a job, yay. And then you start working. After 6 months, you have some KPIs or you had some goals, and you don't deliver. You don't do your work very well. And then, of course, people need to, and your managers need to tell you, how can you improve, for example?
Okay, thank you. I did not see. So you mean when you hire new people?
Yeah,
not for
exactly,
existing.
exactly. So this slide actually refers to this note that actually engineers are hiring marketing and HR people, and then they want to do their work for them. But if they're not satisfied with the work they do, then simply just let them go somewhere else. That's it. It's clear?
Yeah, now it is. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Maybe someone wants to share an interesting communicational situation. Yeah.
So do you think that the communication skills should be learned on the job or it should be requisite for the job?
That's a good one. I don't know what to answer. I'll try. Well, some of us, there's no talent for communication. We all have the tool to speak. Of course that you can improve. Of course that you can learn. There are all sorts of workshops, all sorts of conferences where you can learn more about that. I think that particularly in IT companies, there should be some workshops, some courses, some educations for the people who would like to be better at communication. But there's this whole thing when it comes to HR, for example, in IT companies, what they do, they organize, team buildings, they post job ads. They're just, their role is too technical in that sense, too administrative in that sense. But these people from these non-tech sectors, they can actually help a lot to the people in that very company to express themselves better, to be more honest, to be more bold, to have more attitude. So that can be learned through the process and through the career, of course, why not? But it's not a prerequisite, I wouldn't say it like that, because we all have it, like in ourselves, we just need to find a way how we could possibly express it the right way. I hope I answered. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. I think both. It's always everything. So if you give me A or B, it's always A and B, because it's gray. That's it. So you need to accept how people communicate, their own manner of communication. You also need to think more personally how they feel, with which worries they came to work that day, for example. You should have this type of understanding. But you should also try to build a certain communication style with the people you're communicating on a daily basis. And you don't have, then at that times, you don't have to actually improvise a lot, because you can make patterns. It's always good. So if you have like 5 colleagues at your workplace that you work on a daily basis, you will be able to learn some of their communication patterns. And then if something really bothers you, you can just tell them like, oh, but you know, like that really bothers me, and then maybe they will stop, but most probably they will not. But when you know the pattern, then you should try to like fit in that pattern, because you actually have a pattern as well. So I would accept for all of the other your colleagues to fit in your pattern. So that's why it's some kind of an intersection. More questions? Okay, I guess we are on time. Thank you so much. I didn't expect so much of you here. I'm thrilled to be in Zagreb, even though I'm super tired, and I'm leaving today for Belgrade. But next time I'm here, I will be here for several days. This is actually my first conference talk. I didn't do this before, but I do a lot of public speaking, so I'm familiar with this. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the questions, and I hope to see you around after.